My name is Colin Murphy. I'm a journalist and I write plays. And I'm standing on the balcony of what they call the Public Letters Office, the PLO, of the General Post Office, the GPO, which is where we're staging my play, Inside The GPO. And this play tells the story, the true story, of what happened here in this space during the 5 days of the Easter Rising of 1916, when it was the headquarters for that rising. And in the play, we use the hall down below for most of the action. We have the audience seated in the round around that central podium. But we also use the balcony here. And up on the balcony is a woman called Mary Louisa Hamilton Norway. And like all the other people in the play, she's a real-life character. But unlike most of the others, pretty much everything she says in the play are her own words, because she wrote letters throughout the week to a friend in England that she wasn't able to send, and she published them after the Rising as a kind of a diary, a memoir of what happened. And when we decided that we were going to do a play about the Easter Rising that would be set inside the GPO, inside the headquarters of the leadership, I realized that one of the risks from the off was that we would therefore be losing the most obvious source of conflict, and that, of course, was the conflict between the people inside who were fighting for an independent Ireland and people outside, particularly those of the establishment and representing the British Empire, who were willing to fight to require Ireland to remain within the empire. So how do you bring that conflict into the GPO? So when I found these letters of Mary Louisa Hamilton Norway, I thought, well, what if I grant that character the license to be here on the balcony, floating above what's happening in the GPO, and talking about it and using her own actual words. And that's one of the principles that I bring to the work that I've done so far for the stage, which is sort of documentary drama, sometimes it's verbatim, is when possible to use the actual words of people and to keep the story as true to the details, to the chronology as possible. They say truth is stranger than fiction, and it's just personal taste reasons, but the challenge that I find very compelling is to find the dramatic shape in the messiness of truth. And that's something you're trained to do as a journalist, and then as a dramatist, it's something similar that I'm trying to do. So with the play, for example, my inclination would be, if I realize that there's a beat missing in the play, there's a moment missing, there's a moment that doesn't quite land, there's a speech or an exchange that you find in rehearsals, it's just not quite there, and the actors can sense it needs something more. Sometimes you hit upon the right line or the right extra thing in the rehearsal. The actors come up with it, or the director comes up with it. But if it needs to be written, my inclination is not to go off and spend a morning labouring, worrying over the perfect line, but to go back to the source material, so to go back to the biographies, to go back to the witness statements in the Bureau of Military History, whatever that source material is, and look for the line or a version in it. A perfect example is at the very end of the play. My narrator character is Winnie Carney, who was here in the GPO. She was the secretary to James Connolly, and also apparently his confidant. But she was famously discreet afterwards. She left almost no written record, or gave interviews or anything about her experience in the GPO. And I have a final exchange between her and James Connolly, who's been shot, who's been wounded, just prior to the evacuation. And we were in rehearsals, and my exchange was quite dry. It was kind of strategic. It was about the conflict between the cause of labour and the cause of the nation within the play and within their movement. And Orla Fitzgerald, who plays Winnie Carney, had been reading a biography of Carney and volunteered a line from that, which was we had Connolly saying to her, the city's burning. What have we done? Why did we do this? And she says, we fought James. We had to, and that was a line we just kind of came up with. And then Orla volunteered the extra line. Somebody had to make a start. And for me, I just love the fact that that a line that is authentic, that the actual person actually wrote or spoke at some time, could be the right line for a dramatic moment in a play, and is better than anything that I could have invented. As Owen Harris wrote the other day, that the Rising has moved from history into myth for most people, and that's fine, and that can lead to, that can be part of fantastic public, very democratic events, such as the one that RTE staged out in Connolly Street on Easter Monday. But at the same time, I think there's an onus on writers and historians and journalists and stuff to deconstruct the myth. And one of the things that I'm trying to do is go back to the history, not accept any of the kind of mythology, go back to the history, and then using drama to make that history, if you like, present in the moment, to try and get under the skin of the people who are involved, and to see things through their eyes, and also to see them through the eyes of their contemporaries. Katrina Crowe uses the phrase to complicate the narrative. So, if a celebratory narrative around the Easter Rising has become kind of dominant, well, then it's our job to complicate that, and I think that's what I'm trying to do here.